The story begins by jumping back and forth between the lives of our two protagonists in Russia. First, there is Dominika Yegorova, a famous ballerina that is in charge of taking care of her sick mom. After a visit to the doctor, Dominika leaves her mother with a caretaker so she can go to work. Once in the theater, she changes and puts on makeup before going to meet the guests, which include her uncle Ivan Yegorov, deputy director of Russian Secret Service. He introduces her to Dmitry Ustinov, a Russian gangster that asks her for a picture and takes the chance to touch her improperly. Moments later, the play begins and Dominika is dancing as wonderfully as ever when suddenly, his dancing partner jumps and lands on her leg, breaking it. Dominika is immediately taken to have surgery. The other character we follow is Nate Nash, a CIA agent, who is taking a phone call from an automatic caller that dictates some words to him. He uses those words to decode the address of a meeting location, and he takes his gun with him before leaving. The chosen spot for the secret meeting is the park at night, and when he arrives there, he notices he's being followed by a car. A mysterious man, codename Marble, is walking towards him as well, and Nate hands him something as they cross each other on the road before they go on as if nothing happened. The car is still following him, though, so to give the man a chance to escape, Nate creates a distraction by shooting the floor and starts running away as the car gives him chase. He reaches town and is surrounded by the police just as he makes it to the American embassy. Inside, he meets with his bosses, who tell him the asset is safe, but Nate will still be sent back to the USA for his mistake. The next day, Ivan visits Colonel Zakharov, director of the Secret Service, in his office. General Vladimir Korchnoi is there as well. They show Ivan a video of Nate's meeting at the park and mention he's a CIA agent that left the country that morning, but their main interest lies in the other man and finding out his identity. We cut to Dominika then, who is waking up at the hospital to find her leg in a metal frame. She starts crying when she realizes she won't be able to dance again. 3 months pass. Dominika, who is still walking with the aid of a cane, is visited by Ivan. He comments on the fact a replacement for her has already been found and how the theater had been lending them the apartment and covering her mom's medical expenses, all that will stop soon now that she doesn't work for them anymore. Ivan says he wants to help her and asks her to come to him when she's ready. He also leaves an envelope for her before leaving. Dominika opens the envelope and finds pictures that show her dancing partner has been romantically involved with her replacement, plus a recording of a conversation between them that implies he jumped on her on purpose so his girlfriend could take Dominika's place. Later that day, we find Dominika in the theater, watching her former partner and the new girl practice. After they're done, they go to the steam room and Dominika follows them, only to find them having relations. Rage takes over and Dominika starts using her cane to beat them both to the ground before running away. On the bus home, she sees her hand stained with blood and decides to get off, stopping by a payphone to report what she did as an accident. When she arrives at her apartment, she finds her mom on the bathroom floor, the caretaker nowhere in sight. Her mom tells her she didn't come because the theater stopped paying her. Knowing she has no other choice now, Dominika goes to see her uncle to ask him for help. He accepts as long as she helps him in return with a little case. The Secret Service wants to know more about Ustinov, whom Dominika had met at the theater. Ivan wants her to approach him, befriend him and gain his trust using her charms. Dominika at first refuses, but Ivan wins her over by reminding her how awful state hospitals are and how he can give her mom the best doctors instead. That very night, Dominika goes to the hotel Ustinov is staying in, wearing the dress she's been given. She goes to the bar to wait for Ustinov to approach her first, which he does. Dominika tells him she's come to see him, wanting to feel special again, so they leave for her room. She asks the guards to give them privacy and Ustinov starts undressing as soon as his men leave the room, then asks Dominika to do the same. She does so after some hesitation, and when she comes closer, Ustinov wastes no time in taking advantage of her. Their intercourse is suddenly interrupted when a man wearing a black helmet appears behind Ustinov and cuts his throat. The body is thrown on the floor and after asking for silence with a gesture, the man throws Dominika a coat for her to cover her blood-stained body and takes her out of the room through a back door. When they make it to the parking lot, he shoots an employee before getting them on his bike and driving away to an abandoned building. Inside, the man takes off his helmet to reveal Sergei Matorin, another Secret Service agent sent by Ivan, who is in another room in the same building together with Korchnoi, watching Dominika on the security cameras. When Korchnoi mentions she's a witness and she should be eliminated, Ivan mentions she could be useful. Ivan changes rooms to go see Dominika, and confesses he did know what would happen in that room and didn't tell her because she wouldn't have done it if she knew. He makes her an offer then, since she's so good at this, she can be sent to a special institution to be trained to be an agent. If she refuses, he won't be able to protect her, so she can only accept. Dominika leaves for the institution a couple of days later. When she arrives there, she's received by Matron, the headmistress of Sparrow School. She gives Dominika a fake name to use in the school before taking her to her room. Classes start soon after that. Matron talks about the modern world being in chaos and how Russia is the only country willing to make sacrifices to fix it. The students will be trained to be sparrows, spies who specialized in seduction and psychological manipulation. Dominika and a student named Victor are called to the front of the class and asked to strip. Victor does so without issues, but Dominika doesn't dare. Matron scolds her for it. We then cut to Nate, who's been summoned by the CIA's discipline panel to be informed he'll be suspended for his mistake in Russia and he can't leave the country. Nate protests because their mole, Marble, has been working with Nate for 3 years and won't trust anybody else, but he isn't hurt. Back in the Sparrow School, during a class with Matron, she tells them they need to be able to identify what their targets want. She puts some videos on TV for examples for them to work on. The first one Victor guesses wrong and Dominika corrects him, earning her his dislike. The second is guessed by another female student, who is called to the front of the class and told she will have to use her mouth on the man from the video, who is brought into the classroom in cuffs. The girl gets on her knees but is incapable of doing it. She falls to the floor crying. Matron reminds all the students that they need to learn to trick their bodies and teaches them some basic seduction tricks. Back in the USA, Nate notices he's being tailed and informs his superiors of this. He learns that the CIA hasn't heard anything from Marble and he takes the chance to remind them he will talk if it's Nate that contacts him. They reach a deal. He can't still go back to Russia, but they can send him to a country nearby so the Russian Secret Service will know he's around and Marble will resurface. Nate accepts for the team to come with him. Meanwhile, in the school, the students are asked to give a welcome to a group of soldiers that just returned home from war. Dominika chooses a young man and takes him to her room where she successfully gives him a hand. Later that day, Matron and the students watch all the videos of their performances with the soldiers. Matron tells Dominika her technique was good but she still hasn't learned to give herself up. After class is over, Dominika goes to the showers, where she's assaulted by Victor. She defends herself by taking the water tap from the wall and hitting him with it. In the meantime, Ivan, Korchnoi and Zakharov are discussing the fact Nate has been relocated to Budapest. They want to do something about it, but they know the president doesn't want them anything that may come off as antagonistic against the USA. Ivan proposes they give the mission to someone else. Back in the Sparrow school, Matron and a newly arrived Korchnoi question Dominika for her attack on Victor. Matron thinks Dominika still has potential. Korchnoi asks for a moment alone with her. After everyone else leaves the room, he questions Dominika again, and she explains she owes and serves the state, not her classmate. She's allowed to go back to class, where Matron once again calls her to the front while Korchnoi watches from a security camera. Dominika is shown a picture of Victor and asked what he wants as he enters the room. Matron orders her to give him what he wants. Victor asks her to turn around, Dominika refuses and gets into action. As she undresses, he tells Victor to look at only her and once she's completely naked, she sits on the table with her legs open, egging him on to take her. Victor can't get it up and runs away when she teases him for it. Then Dominika answers Matron's question. What he wants is power. Korchnoi is impressed. Moments later, Matron meets with Dominika in private again and tells her she'll be sent back to Moscow. Days later, while reuniting with her mom at their place, Dominika receives a call that tells her to meet Ivan at a restaurant. When she makes it there, she sits with him and he explains her next mission. She'll be sent to Budapest to befriend Nate and gain his trust so she can learn the identity of their mole. He gives her a new passport and documents with a new name. Dominika leaves without eating. She makes it to Budapest a couple of days later, and goes to stay at an apartment she'll share with a fellow Sparrow Marta. Later that day, she meets with her new boss, Station Chief Maxim Valentov, and asks him for some information on Nate. Afterward, she follows Nate around to learn his routine. The next day, Dominika starts going to the same swimming pool as Nate, and lets him go to her when they leave the building. They chit-chat a bit but Dominika plays hard to get. She also makes up a story about being a translator for the embassy. The following day, however, she doesn't find Nate at the pool, and the receptionist tells her her ID is gone missing. Turns out, Nate already knows she isn't what she says. We cut to him explaining to his superiors that she's been using many names and making the connection to Ivan. He thinks she's valuable and that her using her real name is a provocation. After some hesitation, his superiors allow him to get closer to her to gather intel. After going to Valentov to report her progress and ask for an embassy pass, Dominika visits the embassy and sees Marta chatting with Stephanie Boucher, an American politician. Nate interrupts her staring to chat, admitting he was the one to steal her ID from the pool, and asks her out to dinner the next day at 8. Dominika accepts before leaving. Back in her apartment, Dominika searches Marta's room and discovers she's been buying intelligence from Boucher. Marta returns home then, but doesn't catch her in the act. She gives Dominika a copy of the report Valentov sent to Moscow. Apparently Dominika has made an enemy. The next day after work, she follows Valentov into a bar and asks him to buy her time with a better report, then provokes him into punching her by making fun of his small member. His violence is now on the security cameras and Dominika tells him he'll write a better report or she'll take the recording to the police. While all this is happening, Nate is alone in a restaurant, waiting for his date. Thinking he's been stood up, he leaves the place, but Dominika is following him closely. Back in his apartment, Nate receives another coded message on the phone that he quickly writes down and deciphers. It says Vienna. He's about to leave when a crying Dominika rings his bell. He allows her to come in. While sharing some whiskey, Dominika tells him his boss assaulted him. When Nate asks her how she knows where he lives, she raises the volume of the TV so they can't be heard. Dominika asks him what happened in that park in Russia and kisses him after he tells her. Nate tells her to go home and figure out what she wants. The next day, Ivan visits Dominika before leaving for Vienna. He asks about her progress with Nate since their superiors are getting impatient. To buy time, she lies and tells him she's also working with Marta on her Boucher case, but she'll need more money. Ivan accepts and asks for his coat to leave. Dominika gets it for him but not without secretly taking a peek at his passport. After he's gone, Marta approaches Dominika with her gun. She overheard the lie and is angry because the Boucher case is supposed to be only hers. Dominika promises she'll give her all the credit and more money. She just lied for the extra time. Marta only accepts because she has no other choice. Later on, Dominika goes to Vienna and opens a bank account there while Marta visits Valentov to tell him she knows how to get rid of Dominika. Dominika returns to her place that night and finds Marta murdered in the bathtub. Suddenly, Sergei appears behind her and grabs her by the neck to pass on a warning. This is what happens to those that share secrets. He also tells her to call the police before he disappears. We cut to Nate there, who is reporting to his superiors about having met with Marble in Vienna. Marble has given him some files confirming Dominika is a Sparrow, and that makes Nate think she's even more recruitable. Meanwhile, Dominika is being interrogated by the police, but she tells them nothing. When she leaves the precinct, she finds Nate outside waiting for her. They go back to his place, where he confesses he knows she's a Sparrow. Dominika tells him her story in return, putting emphasis on the fact she only cares about her mother's well-being. Nate asks her to be a double agent for him, promising her protection. She replies she needs to sleep. He gives her his room. Later in the night, she leaves the room and joins Nate on the touch. After asking if she can trust him and getting a positive answer, she makes love to him. The next morning, after she confirms she accepts his deal, Dominika goes back to her routine, writes a fake report on Nate saying she has him in her pocket and then returns to her place to wait for his signal, which is a simple phone call that plays her favorite song. Dominika meets with Nate's superiors and is put through a lie detector test to see if she can be trusted. When they accept her, she asks for money. They laugh at her, but they change their minds when she tells them she can give them Boucher. The following Friday, the whole team flies to London to meet with Boucher. Dominika stays in a special hotel room the CIA prepared for her with security cameras to monitor her and a set of discs hidden under a desk to change for the real ones later. Moments later, while she's at the bar waiting for Boucher, he's surprised by the sudden appearance of Valentov, who supposedly wants to help. Dominika sends him to her room, otherwise his presence will scare Boucher off. Boucher arrives soon afterward and Dominika goes to her, explaining Marta sent her. Boucher doesn't like this change and is about to leave, but Dominika convinces her to stay when she threatens her with some dangerous pictures and mentions the money. Both women go to Dominika's room where Valentov is waiting. Boucher gives her the discs in exchange for the money, and Dominika pretends to take the discs to her computer to check they're real when she's actually trading them with the CIA's. Dominika and Valentov leave then after telling Boucher to wait an hour to leave too, but Boucher is anxious and drunk so she leaves soon after. When she makes it to the street, she notices she's being followed and gets scared, so she throws the money in a trash can and crosses the street where a truck hits and kills her. Dominika is in a car with Valentov when this happens, and he quickly gets the news on the phone. He tells Dominika they've been given orders to return to Moscow immediately and takes her passport. When they make it to Moscow, Ivan takes the discs from Valentov before arresting him. Both he and Dominika are under suspicion of having helped the Americans. When asked about it, she denies it, so she starts being tortured in different ways for the real answer, but she doesn't give in. They even show her a video of how Valentov was shot for lying, but when the interrogator points at her head and she lies again, nothing happens. Ivan takes over then, and Dominika manages to manipulate him into protecting her. She's allowed to return home, but when she gets there, she feels so dirty she doesn't let her mom hug her. After a difficult meeting with Korchnoi and Zakharov, Ivan returns to his apartment, where Dominika is waiting. He tells her they've granted her request to let her keep working on Nate. She kisses him before leaving. Dominika returns to Budapest and meets with Nate. They go to his apartment, where he expresses his suspicions of her quick release. Dominika convinces him to relocate her and her mom to America and to give her more money. He accepts before they make love. In the middle of the night, Dominika wakes up when she hears a noise. She goes to the kitchen to find Sergei torturing Nate. She pretends to be on his side at first, even helping him hurt Nate to get the name of the mole. But when Sergei gets distracted, she hits him back and helps Nate cut the straps tying him to the chair. The three of them get into a fight that doesn't last long. Sergei slips and Dominika takes the chance to stab him. She wakes up in the hospital the next day, and leaves her room to have a smoke. She's then approached by Korchnoi, who reveals himself as Marble. He thinks he'll be caught soon and doesn't want to die in vain, so he asks Dominika to expose him so she can become a national hero and take his place as a mole. She doesn't give him a definite answer, but after he leaves, she checks on Nate and leaves as well. She gives herself up to the police and asks to see the Russian ambassador. When she's taken to him, she tells him to call Zakharov and inform him she has the name of the mole, which she'll give him in exchange for her freedom. A meeting to do the exchange is arranged later that night at an airport. Nate will walk with her to confirm the identity of the mole and she mustn't try to run or she'll be shot. Nate is angry with her because he thinks she's used him, but she has a surprise. When the Russians approach them with the mole, they take the bag off his face to reveal it's not Korchnoi. It's her uncle Ivan, who has been framed thanks to Dominika fabricating evidence since she made it to Budapest the first time. Nate quickly catches on and confirms Ivan is the mole. After the exchange is done, Ivan is shot by a Russian sniper and Dominika is taken away on a helicopter. Back in Russia, she's named a heroine and allowed to have a good life with her mom. The movie ends when she receives a phone call and the only sound on the line is her favorite song.